Question 10. Solve the simultaneous equations 2x plus y is equal to 18 and x take y is equal to 6. So we've got a common coefficient over here. We've got a positive y and a negative y. So the easiest thing to do here is to add both of these equations together. So I've got 2x add x, that gives me 3x. I've got a plus y add a negative y, which gives me no y. And that equals 18 plus 6, which is 24. So if 3x is equal to 24, I know that x is going to be equal to 24 divided by 3, which is 8. I now know x is 8, so I can substitute that into one of the equations. I'll choose this top equation. So subbing that in, I know that 2 times 8 plus y is equal to 18. So 2 times 8 is 16, so 16 plus y is equal to 18. Therefore y is equal to 18 take away 16, which is 2. So y is equal to 2. So my solutions are going to be x is equal to 8 and y is equal to 2. I'm just going to check it in this equation over here. If x is 8 and y is 2, 8 take away 2 does in fact give me 6, so I know that it works. So my answer is over here, x equals 8 and y equals 2. Question 11. Billy wants to buy these tickets for a show. 4 adult tickets at £15 each and 2 child tickets at £10 each. A 10% booking fee is added to the ticket price. 3% is then added for paying by credit card. We need to work out the total charge for these tickets when paying by credit card. So if we first of all decide what the basic cost of these would be before we add the 10% and the 3% on. So that's going to be 4 times 15 for the adults plus 2 times 10 for the children. So 4 times 15 is 60 plus 20, which gives us 80. So we know that it's going to be £80 initially. We then need to add 10% booking fee to the ticket price. Well, 10% of 80 is 8. So I now want to do 80 plus 8, which gives me £88. So that's how much it costs after we've had the booking fee on. We now need to work out what 3% of 88 is. So 3% of 88 is what we're trying to find out. Well, 1% of 88 is going to be 0.88. So 3% is going to be equal to 3 times 0.88. So we could use a column method to work this out. So over here I'm going to do 0.88 times by 3. And I've got 3 times 8, which is 24, so I can put a 4 there and a 2 there. 3 times 8, which is 24, and I've got another 2 over here, so that's 26, so I'll put a 6 there and a 2 there. 3 times 0 is 0, plus this 2 over here, and I get £2.64. So 3% of 88 is going to be 3 times 0.88, which is £2.64, 2.64. So I now need to add this on to this 88. So I've got 88 plus 2.64, and that's going to give me 90.64. So let's write that down over here. 88 plus 2.64, and that gives me 90.64. So my answer is going to be £90.64. Question 12. Here is a circle touching a square. The area of the square is 64 centimeters squared. We need to work out the area of the circle, and we need to give our answer in terms of pi. So if the area of the square is 64 centimeters squared, it must have a height and width of 8 centimeters. Okay, so that's going to be the distance there and the distance there. Now, to work out the area of the circle, we need to use the formula, the area is equal to pi times the radius squared. So because we know that this distance here is 8, we should be able to deduce that this distance here, which is the radius, is going to be half of that, which is 4. Okay, so if the area of the circle is pi r squared, I know that the area is going to be equal to pi times 4 squared. That the radius is 4. So that is going to be 16, so my area is going to be 16 pi centimeters squared. So over here I can put 16 pi centimeters squared. Question number 13. I need to write the number 6,005,200 in standard form. I'm going to start by writing this in ordinary form. So I've got 6 million and then I've got 5,200. So that's going to be 5,200. And I want to write that in standard form. So I've got 6.0052 times 10 to the power of, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be 10 to the power of 6. So my answer is going to be 6.0052 times 10 to the power of 6. Question 14, we need to solve a negative 3x is greater than 6. So in order to solve this, I need to divide both sides of this inequality by a negative 3. So if I divide by negative 3, the left hand side is going to become x, the right hand side is going to become a negative 2. But because I've divided by a negative number, the inequality is now going to be facing the opposite direction, so it's going to become a less than. So what we're saying is that x has to be less than negative 2, and that's going to be my answer. Question 15. 1/6, 1/7, 1/8 and 1/9 are 4 fractions. How many of these fractions convert to a recurring decimal? Well, 1/6 is half of a third, and we know a third converts to a recurring decimal, so 1/6 does convert to a recurring decimal. 1/7 we should know converts to a recurring decimal. 1/8 is half of a half of a half, so we know half is 0.5. Half of that is a quarter, which is 0.25, sorry, and half of that is an eighth, which is 0.125. So that's actually a terminating decimal. And then we've got a ninth, which again is going to be a third of a third, and we know a third is a recurring decimal, so a ninth is also going to be a recurring decimal. So that's going to be 3 of those will be a recurring decimal. Question 16. A fair spinner has 5 equal sections numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. A fair 6-sided dice has 5 red faces and 1 green face. The spinner is spun. If the spinner shows an even number, the dice is thrown. We need to complete the tree diagram for the spinner and the dice. So first of all, if we take this information here, the spinner is spun. If the spinner shows an even number, the dice is thrown. So it's only going to be thrown if we get an even number. So if I draw 2 more branches over here, and we're either, for our dice, we're either going to get a red face or a green face. So I'm going to put red here, and I'm going to put green here. Okay, and we don't roll the dice if we get an odd number on the spinner, so I don't need to draw anything over here. Okay, so if we put in the probabilities now, it's a fair spinner with 5 equal sections numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So in order for us to get an even number, there's 2 ways of doing it out of the 5 possible numbers, so that's going to be 2/5. And for an odd number, there's 3 ways of doing it out of 5 possible numbers, so that's going to be 3/5. Okay, so over here for our dice, there's 5 red faces and 1 green face, so the probability of getting red is going to be 5/6, and the probability of getting green is going to be 1/6. Okay, so that's the tree diagram complete. Part B says work out the probability of getting an even number and the colour green. So we want to get an even number and the colour green. So that's going to be the probability of even and green. And that's going to be equal to, well, the probability of getting an even number is going to be 2/5, and the probability of getting a green is 1/6, and using our AND rule, we need to multiply those together, and 2/5 times 1/6 is going to be 2 times 1, which is 2, 5 times 6, which is 30. So 2/30 simplifies to 1/15. So our answer is going to be 1/15.